Well, greetings everyone. Welcome to the Apptrepreneur Show, your daily dose of discussions of apps, technology, and even a little bit of entertainment and sometimes politics. That seems to be more or less what we've been doing a lot these days. I am your host, Kevin, the Apptrepreneur, and thank you for joining me over the next hour or so as we discuss all these various different topics. Now then, before we begin talking about our main topics, I do want to say something. One of the running jokes on this show, and I've kind of been doing this sarcastically when it comes to people who aren't doing what they should do to get the economy back on track, is I kind of say, thanks, folks, I guess I'm not seeing Tenet in July. And then I see people continuing to not follow the rules, not wear your masks, and I say, thanks, guys, I guess I'm not seeing Tenet in August. Well, little side note, guess what got delayed indefinitely today? Tenet. I might not even see Tenet in 2020. Now, I want to give a little bit of credit. It might have just as much to do with this, where Tenet, well, not Tenet, but China is basically saying that Tenet is too long. China wants to limit movies to 2 hours or less before approving them to play in their cinemas, which are opening. Now, I believe the last couple Christopher Nolan films made about $120 to $150 million in China alone. China is a big market. So what's going on right now is that Tenet is about 30 minutes longer than its requirements, 150 minutes, which is actually shorter than most Christopher Nolan films, I have to say. And Warner Brothers has to basically make a decision. Do they delay the movie? Do they cut the movie? Or do they simply not release it in China? Well, you know they're not going to release it in China at all. So they're going to release it in China. So it seems for the time being, they are delaying it. And they will probably start having discussions about what to do afterwards. Now, in the press release of what happens with Tenet going forward, is that they will be looking at a unique release strategy. And that could mean a bunch of things. It could mean that, hey, maybe they only open in certain markets at first, and then they roll it out across the nation. Now, that does not happen in Hollywood. They don't like to do things like that. It's like day and day, and everyone gets it at once. They want to fight piracy and spoilers and things like that. But we are in a time where maybe, you just have to start releasing movies and not all the markets are going to be open. Maybe the movie has to stay in theaters longer. Maybe the studios have to come together and hey, you know what? We have to come together and agree that the movie theaters need to reopen, and they're going to be showing a lot of old movies, but let us pick a single movie from each studio to kind of be out there to make its way around the next few months, and then, next year we'll get more or less back to normal. So something like that might have to happen. But yeah, I was a little disappointed. On Friday, we were talking about how I should be seeing Tenet today. But people didn't want to follow the rules, and we don't have this virus under control. And now I can't see Tenet. So, that's my little bit of moaning and griping for whatever it's worth. That's a good way to always start the show, right? So, hey, we have Ryan here. We have Robin here. How you doing? So anyway, we are going to start the show, and the format has it's been the last couple weeks. We're going to do the show. I have several stories to read. If you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comment section. Unlike the previous weeks, I will be commenting on the comments and replying to them in between videos so that they're more relevant to what's talking about. But some situations might be addressed at the end of the show. And for anyone who misses, we will be doing replays throughout the week and all that jazz. But with that out of the way, let's talk about main topic number one, which is the main topic. This is the one that you have to come to this video to watch. And, well, we were talking a couple days ago, I think it was Friday, maybe it was Thursday, I forget a little bit, but how Lyft was charging drivers for protective equipment, like PPE. Now, Lyft and Uber had said that they were not going to be shuttering their apps, or at least they were not going to be ceasing operations. They were going to continue, and that the driver's safety was their number one concern, and they would be providing disinfectants and wipes and masks and gloves. They would be providing a lot of things. Well, here's the thing. neither company has been particularly good at doing that, and Lyft has been worse than Uber. Lyft, from what I understand, has barely sent anything out. And then it pissed everyone off when they found out that on Lyft's store, they were actually selling PPE equipment, like PPE. And, well, people were upset. Now, Lyft said in their defense, they were not charging a markup, that they were simply selling at cost. But people were asking, why are you selling at cost when you haven't been sending this stuff out in the first place? Well, in probably a bit of damage control, Lyft has announced that they are handing out free coronavirus safety partitions, but only to some of the drivers. Now, what is a partition? Well, a partition is this. It's one of these little plastic barriers, and these things do go a long way. You start seeing them at like grocery stores and other stores. This has kind of become like a big thing because it's like, hey, look, you put this thing in front of between two people, both people are wearing their mask and they're sanitizing, wiping everything down. Guess what? That's pretty safe. It's not, of course, a 100% guarantee, but it's a pretty good guarantee that maybe you will not be getting sick. So it's nice that Lyft is handing these out. And again, they announced this after they came under fire for selling the PPE. However, there is a catch. There is a catch. The catch is that there are 1 million plus drivers that aren't lucky enough to get one free, and they will have to pay out of their own pocket. Later in the year, Lyft's online driver shop will offer the dividers for $50 a piece. Now, the company says they're selling these dividers at cost, which seems to be about right, according to one online store. Now, in the next few months, Lyft will be issuing tens of thousands of partitions to U.S. drivers for free. It has the goal of expanding to a total of 30 regions and providing partitions to 60,000 drivers. So what's really going on is this. If you drive for Lyft a lot, you will be getting one of these for free. And if you're not driving for them a lot, you have to pay for them. Now, it makes sense. It really does. I mean, here's the thing. Lyft, strictly speaking, doesn't have to do this. They don't. I mean, if you want to be an independent contractor, you actually can't be depending on Uber and Lyft to keep you safe. If you want to go out and drive for Uber and Lyft, you're rolling the dice. Unless you make the car safe yourself, that's on you. If you want to be a true independent contractor. Now, Lyft is doing this to avoid some bad PR, but I applaud them that they are at least doing this much. So for drivers who either drive a lot now or maybe drove an awful lot before the pandemic hit, these people will probably be offered them for free as a way to persuade people to keep driving or to come back to driving. Certainly is a better motivator than, say, deactivating their account for no reason. Otherwise, you would have to get this for $50 out of your own pocket. And for $50, especially if you seriously depend on Uber and Lyft and rideshare in general, $50 is money well spent. You can write it off on your taxes. It will increase your chances of staying safe as long as people don't get in the front seat of the car. You can still wipe it down in disinfectant. So, hey, as they say, their contribution may have come a little late in the game. However, at least it is finally here, and that's something they just need to do. And what's also funny about these things is it would also probably discourage people from trying to rob them. If there's someone who's drunk, it will stop them from trying to get into the front of the car. Who knows? There's actually a lot of good uses for this thing, and maybe this should have been made available to drivers a long, long time ago, just for all the other reasons that it could, all the other situations should say that it could help deter from happening. But anyway, I would like to know what you think about this. Is this something you would personally want to get? Maybe you already have it, like our buddy Noah. I would love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Now let's look at some of these comments right now. With all due respect, Ryan, I'm not going to answer any Disney questions until the end of the show. Now, Robin said, I just bought a partition, going to install today, hope to start driving again this week, we'll see. And Queen Brooksy, hey Queen Brooksy, welcome back, I haven't seen you in a while, thank you for joining us. Said, just buy a clear shower curtain at the dollar store and you can tape it around and basically seal the back seat area completely off from the front seat area. That is also an idea. that is also an idea. So, okay, that's a good suggestion. And yeah, I mean, I think that maybe the partition might be a little bit more personal. At least you can see the other person. And one of the things that I kind of learned is like when you give people just the eensy little bit of privacy, even though it's not really private, they take way more advantage of that privacy than they absolutely should. But who knows? That's just my thought, though. But hey, good suggestion. So anyway, we are now going to move on to main topic number 2. And our second main topic is actually one of 2 stories on today's episode we have about algorithms, particularly as it relates to Uber drivers. And the next story is going to be a little later in the show. We're going to do a couple other stories before we get to that one. But it appears that Uber drivers are suing, or they're launching a legal bid at the very least, to uncover Uber's app algorithm. Now, this is from The Guardian. Minicab drivers will launch so it's not Uber drivers, it's minicab drivers, sorry. Will launch a legal bid to uncover secret computer algorithms used by Uber to manage their work in a test case that could increase transparency for millions of gig economy workers around Europe. It does not surprise me at all this is coming up in Europe. Europe has been very, very brutal to Uber and Lyft. 2 UK drivers are demanding to see the huge amounts of data the ride-sharing company collects on them and how this is used to exert management control, including through automated decision-making that invisibly shapes their jobs. So maybe these are Uber drivers. I don't know. Why would they name it minicab, though? The case is being brought on Monday by the UK-based App Drivers and Couriers Union in the District Court in Amsterdam, where the international headquarters of the 56 billion ride-hailing firm is located. The union said transparency was essential in checking if Uber was exercising discrimination or unequal treatment between drivers. It will also allow drivers to organize and build collective bargaining power over terms of work and pay in a way of which is currently impossible. Now, they've got some good points here. Because here's the thing, I've been reporting on Uber and Lyft for a very, very long time. I mean, really, it's like 3.5 years. But, when you stop and think about it, that's almost 5. And 5 years is a lot of time. So, I've reported on stories where it has been pointed out that Uber's algorithm is not fair. It was well reported years ago, hey, if you were a great driver, you went out there every single day, you maybe worked a few weekends, and you were on the road as much as you wanted to be and to a satisfying amount for the company, okay, great. The company didn't give you anything. You're doing what they want you to do. But if you were a part-time driver, maybe you only drive a couple days a week. Maybe you only drive Tuesdays. Who knows? You just want to make $20 to $50 for new DVD releases. Well, Uber might start giving you bonuses and offers and perks to start driving hours you normally wouldn't drive, to work days you normally wouldn't partake in. And that was their algorithm. Also, Uber's algorithm was able to figure out where people would be striking, and they would know where to send your surge. There's a strike going on at the airport? Well, let's turn the surge up 5-6 points, and, see, people are getting online. And then when they're online, take that surge away. So the algorithm is something that Uber drivers definitely fight a lot. You cannot do anything about the algorithm. Heck, I'm a slave to the algorithm. This channel, when I don't talk about rideshare in individual videos, the algorithm punishes me for not talking about rideshare. My videos don't get shared as much. They don't pop up in feeds unless you ring that bell. Algorithms are tricky things because they always give people more of what they want, but then people are oblivious to things that they might want or things that are affecting their lives that they are not aware of. And let's not even get into what Facebook does with their algorithm. So these minicab drivers are suing Uber to see that algorithm, to see what data do you have on us and how is that being used to affect our lives. Now, again, what's confusing about this is that they say minicab drivers, which would make you think that they aren't Uber drivers, but maybe the Uber drivers are called minicab drivers in Europe. That's the one thing I'm not clear on. So anyway, it came at the start of a significant week for Uber's business model in the UK. On Tuesday, the company begins its Supreme Court challenge against landmark rulings that the former Uber drivers Yassim Aslam and James Farrar, founders of the ADCU, should have been treated as workers rather than self-employed contractors, and so should have benefited from the minimum wage and paid holidays. They keep miswriting this argument. The argument should not be that they should be treated like employees, but they're independent contractors. The argument should be that they are independent contractors that are being treated like employees. That should be the argument. But whatever, I'm not a lawyer. What do I know? The number of adults working on online platforms such as Uber and Deliveroo at least once a week doubled between 2016 and 2019. Yeah. So anyway, they're being sued for this algorithm. Now, will they actually get it? I don't know. I can guarantee you that is Uber's pot of gold. Like, here's the thing. There's a saying out there in the business world, data is the new gold. Data is. You have the data, you can figure out the buying habits, you can manipulate people, you can control people, you know exactly where they want to spend their money. Data is gold. Data is in many ways many of these companies' businesses. Uber will not give that up willy-nilly. But maybe there is an argument that, hey, if the algorithm affects me, an independent contractor, maybe I should be privy to what the data is saying to make sure that I am an independent contractor and that I am not being controlled by the algorithm. It's going to be a very, very interesting argument. But anyway, I would like to know what all of you think about this. Do you think this data should be made available to you? Do you think that you have a chance of getting it? I would love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. As always, flame responsibly. All right, I'm going to take a sip of water. And Mile High Cat Mom has said, Uber and Lyft aren't paying me enough to risk my safety. Queen Brooksy said, it's clear and you can easily see them and they actually appreciate it. Oh, probably talking about the shower curtain. The shower curtain, or are you talking about the partition? But yeah. Either way, have some protection, folks, if you're going to be doing this. Also, if you haven't given a thumbs up yet, hey, I'd really appreciate it. So anyway, with that said, let's move on to main topic number 3. And I'm glad Ryan is here because, I actually kind of make these segments, particularly for people like Ryan, because Ryan has been like a good patron and YouTube supporter, and we share this common interest. And so I know he likes these stories. And, I actually kind of like talking about them too a little bit. But we're talking about Disney World. Now, Disney World has reopened. In my opinion, not a great idea. I think they should still be closed, but hey, you know what? Florida's going to be Florida. And interestingly, I know a lot of people right now who are moving to Florida because I know a lot of people who are fed up with California and how they're mandating masks and everything. So, they're going to move to Florida and, hopefully they won't get sick. But Disney World, like Costco, Walmart, Target, Best Buy, McDonald's, pretty much all the major companies right now are requiring people to wear masks. And one of the exceptions to the mask wearing is if you are eating or drinking food, which makes sense. You have to take the mask off to eat and drink. So, hey, when you're eating and drinking, that's when you can remove your mask at Disney World and partake in crummy churros and corn dogs. Look, as much as I like Disneyland, their food, unless you go to like Club 33 or the Blue Bayou, it's not much to write home about. I always go to downtown Disney and eat at Naples, but that's just me. Anyway, the thing with people, and especially Disney people for some reason, is that there is a lot of truth to Disney fans tend to be little miniature lawyers. They just find loopholes. And so what Disneyland guests have been doing is they've been walking around without a mask, and when asked about why aren't you wearing your mask, we're drinking a Coke, or we're eating a pretzel, or we're munching on a churro. Which means Disney has to actually clarify with a new mask rule. And here's what it says. Let's see here. Where was it? Face masks are mandatory to enter. Now, the mask rule is still in effect, but it comes with a stricter footnote now. Previously, Disney visitors were required to wear their masks at all times, except when actively eating and drinking. The eating and drinking loophole meant guests could multitask, such as walking around the park, sipping a soda, or munching on a pretzel while they ambled to the next ride or moved along a socially distanced queue for a ride. And of course, that's a problem because if you are a carrier of the virus and you are not aware that you are a carrier of the virus, then that walking around with a mask is a problem. So, Charles Stovall, Disney Parks Global Public Relations Manager, calls the updated mask guideline just a clarification of our policy. The update to the policy reads, you may remove your face covering while actively eating or drinking, but you should be stationary and maintain appropriate physical distancing. Now, of course, there's always the reaction. And the latest rule around masks has some people on social media questioning whether the park should be open at all. Well, in all fairness, I was questioning that before they opened, but As one Twitter user put it, just shut it down already, FFS. I don't really know what that... Oh, I get what it says. I can't say that. Another person tweeted, I can definitely see the risk in people using their beverages or snacks as an excuse not to wear a mask for a long period of time, but overall, I didn't see many people doing that in the parks. And that's probably true, but it's one of those things where it's like, once you see some people doing it, and you don't do anything about it, then it sets a precedent. Well, like, look, you didn't do it for them, so what are you going to do to me? And so that's why they're doing it. And another person says, I did see a little bit of that in Disney Springs, though, where you can also get drinks to go and walk around. So, anyway, Disney is restricting, by the way, this is how their lines look like now. Boy, some of these lines are probably just going to get super long if they have to space them out like that, but, what are you going to do? So, I'm glad to see people wearing the mask. Now, by the way, I am going to add on this one little thing, because I know I have a lot of Trump supporters who watch me, who are probably not happy with me because, Donald Trump has not been very clear about the masks. He's kind of been wishy-washy, like, I will not mandate masks. I don't think they do anything, to all the way up to, you probably should wear masks, but I don't know if I want to actually tell people to wear a mask. Well, Donald Trump actually has finally come out and said, guess what? You should probably wear your mask. Now, granted, of course he made it about himself. He tweeted, let me see if I can do a Donald Trump impression. We are united in our effort to defeat the invisible China virus, and many people say that it is patriotic to wear a face mask when you can't socially distance. There is nobody more patriotic than me, your favorite president. Now, of course, he had to make it about himself. Of course, he's being narcissistic. I kind of expect that from Donald Trump. But look, if you need any more proof, look, even the President of the United States is finally saying, and even like the way these gestures are, like, look, enough is enough. Wear your damn mask. So I'm just throwing that in there as like a little side note. But anyway, I would like to know, what do you think of these tightened Disney World rules? And do you think that Disney World should even be open at all? Or do you think it's fine that they're doing everything they can and people are... Have you been to Disney World, actually, since they reopened? I would love to know. So, comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Now let's see what some of these comments have to say. Let's see here. Nancy Herrera said, that's why face shields are so great. You can drink a beverage through a straw while still having it on. It's funny that no one's really brought up face shields. I know that those have, their own set of problems because, there's, a huge wide gap underneath them. But it's if everyone's wearing them, it still reduces the transferring quite a bit. So let's see here. Mile High Cat Mom said, oh, hey, Tommy, how you doing? Disney is overrated and heavy on cost. They are heavy on cost. Ryan says, are you surprised that Disneyland still hasn't reopened as well, or not really? Oh, no, I'm not. I'm not surprised at all. I'm not surprised at all. Let's see here. Mile High Cat Mom says he cut out the CDC. Yes, I am aware of that, and yeah, not going to get into that. Well, the virus did come from China. I've not been as offended by the China virus comment as some people have. I do think it's goofy that he won't say coronavirus, but I don't know. So Nancy says, I didn't like Disneyland already because it was always too crowded. So I'm more looking forward to Knott's Berry Farm opening. Actually, Knott's Berry Farm did a very interesting reopen fairly recently. I believe, if I read correctly, I might be wrong. I might be wrong, but from what I read, Knott's Berry Farm, at the very least, opened up their strip mall shops, and I think they even opened their theme park and let some people in. They didn't charge tickets to get in, but they sold food and souvenirs one day because it was all, and they just socially distanced. And who knows, that might be what some of the theme parks need to do, where it's like, hey, they're basically big outdoor shopping malls until the theme parks can be riding again. So, I don't know. Ryan says, I like your impression, and Cat Mom says, well, I know, ma'am. Oh, so you think my Donald Trump impression is fantastic? Well, that's wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful. Vote in November. Anyway. Let's see here. Ryan says, I personally hope that Disneyland stays closed so that I can hopefully get to go sometime in 2020. Well, if it's safe, I'd like them to reopen, but it doesn't appear to be safe right now. Anyway, we've caught up with those, so let's move on to main topic number 3. No, this is 4, actually. This is main topic number 4. And, hey, you know that algorithm we were talking about a little bit earlier with Uber? Well, there's a little bit of a development with Uber's algorithm, and this one's actually pretty concerning. Now, we're going to have to get into a little bit of political matters with COVID-19, because here's the thing. When you look at, like, Taiwan and Japan and Europe and Spain, who Spain, I, by the way, know is starting to reclose, so this is a pretty nasty virus, but when you look at the countries that really beat back COVID-19, including Italy, by the way, they're watching their baseball games in a stadium. Everyone's wearing a mask, spaced out a little bit, and they're watching their baseball games in the stadium. Like, amazing what a mask can do, right? Well, these countries have all done 3 pretty basic things. They've worn their mask, they social distance, they really social distance by not doing unnecessary things that they don't need to do all the time. And the 4th thing, which I always admitted I was not in favor of, was contact trace. Now, contact trace is where in its most primitive form, someone has a virus, and you hand like a piece of paper and you say, okay, you need to write down all the places you've been, what dates you were there, how many people you know you came in contact with, and we need to contact all of them. That's contact tracing. However, they have floated out the idea, Google and Apple, I should say, of put contact tracing in the phone. So, for example, and yes, I'm going to display my Sailor Moon phone case that my wife got me, because we love Sailor Moon. Sorry, I can't. We love Sailor Moon. Say I went and had dinner with my friend Chris, and Chris starts having some symptoms. He goes to the doctor, and he is test positive for COVID-19. Well, the doctors write a report, and in the Google and Apple app, I then get a notification that says, hey, Chris came in contact with you on this day. He got tested on this date for COVID-19 positive. You might want to quarantine and, get tested yourself. Now, here's the thing. In theory, I understand where they're going with this. That would make contact tracing very convenient. I don't mind wearing a piece of cloth over my mouth. That is nothing. I'm sorry, folks. It's nothing to wear a piece of cloth over your face. But I do have some issues with contact tracing in the sense where Google and Apple, who have already abused their surveillance privileges, just spying on me like that. You know what? That's probably one thing I do not want to do. That is a bridge too far for me, because that is a violation of personal privacy. Here's the thing. Uber might actually be doing this. Uber. So let's look at this article from Forbes. Uber said Monday they had established a service to give public health officials access to data within hours on riders and drivers who are presumed to have come in contact with someone infected with COVID-19, helping to fill a gap in the coronavirus response to the U.S., which does not have a federal contact tracing program. So, key background. The most recent, well, that we don't need to do that. So, but here's where it is. Uber isn't the only company to launch contact testing functionality. In May, Apple and Google released contact tracing technology that lets government health agencies build smartphone apps to track the spread of the virus. However, a Business Insider report in June found that only 3 states confirmed plans to use the technology from Apple and Google, and that 17 states said they were against building contact tracing apps entirely. How much you want to bet California is one of the ones that are approved of this? Big number. Now, this is how many people have been infected who are confirmed to have been infected. It might have actually been higher, too. That COVID-19 cases there have been in the U.S. as of Sunday, according to CDC data. Now, here's the thing. Using Uber's portal, public health officials can see the data and select the action they want Uber to take, such as temporarily blocking a driver, rider, or courier from using Uber. Uber customers with a confirmed case of COVID-19 are automatically blocked from using Uber for at least 14 days. President Trump and other White House officials have objected to creating national standards for testing and contact tracing, leaving it up to the states. And since Uber quietly started the service in January, the company says it has received roughly 560 coronavirus-related requests from public health departments in 29 countries, including 158 requests filed by the U.S. public health official. Uber has long provided data to U.S. law enforcement officials in emergencies or criminal investigations and updated its guidelines in May to conclude COVID-19 as an emergency. So, here's the thing. I really don't trust Uber with this information. I really don't. I don't trust Amazon with this information. I don't trust Apple. I don't trust Microsoft. I don't trust Facebook. I don't trust Twitter. I really don't trust Uber. Here's the problem with this contact tracing. Again, I know why on paper it makes sense. I want us to be healthy. I want us to get back to life. I want to see Tenet. I want to see Tenet, darn it. But we do need to figure out, we do have to have that line that's like, no, this is definitively a violation of my human rights and privacy. I will say this again and again till I'm blue in the face. Putting a piece of cloth over your face is not a violation of your rights. It's frankly not even difficult. But putting technology in your phone, and in all fairness, it's already there, but to really utilize information where it's like, hey, we are asking companies to track us, to store this data, and to share it with the government, that is a violation of rights. Especially here, what happens when the pandemic is over? And it will be over one day. What do they do with this information now? Uber still has it. Uber has abused this data before. We were just talking about it a few minutes ago. And now they've got more. And it's sanctioned by the government. This is something that I am not happy with. Now, I have taken Uber off my phone a long time ago. The driver app, anyway. The rider app is still there for an emergency, but you know my policy. Try not to use rideshare unless possible, and if I do, I try to give like a nice cash tip to the rider. But that's scary that, and the thing is, if Apple and Google are already doing it, like, what's Uber want it for? Like, we all know that Uber's been trying to leverage data as long as they can, and they have never done it responsibly. We've had many leaks and many hacks. We have actually seen reports on what Uber does with this data. What if they have more? What if they're like actually... Remember the time... Who knows? Like maybe Queenie Brooksy will remember this because she's been around for a while. But remember that time that Uber was actually tracing you after your ride ended without your permission and they had to change that? Well, what if they could track you all the time now? Like that's what's really concerning me about this. So this is something that Uber wants to do. Obviously, I think they feel they can make more money from it. I believe they feel that they can get more control from you of it. Look, I'm all for fighting this virus. I will wear that mask. I will stand apart. I will cut back on the fun things I need to do. I will not do as many social gatherings. I will not leave the house if I am feeling sick at all. I will wash my hands. By the way, washing your hands is just as important as wearing the mask. Are you going to tell me that having to wash your hands is also a violation of your rights as a human being? Please don't say that, because I read some scary statistic that 69% of people who use the bathroom don't wash their hand. Really disgusting. But contact tracing in this way is not the answer. It might help us get the virus under control faster in the long run, but the long-term implications of what happens with that information and that technology after you don't need it for what you need it for, that's the scary thing. It's like, look, think of the Patriot Act. Look, we agreed to the Patriot Act after 9/11. We wanted to catch those terrorists. We probably did catch some terrorists. But now it is abused to spy on people unjustly. These are where you have to really be concerned. You don't have to worry about cloth over your face. You have to worry about the technology you put in your pocket. But anyway, that's where I'm going to leave that one. What do you think? I would like to know. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. As always, flame responsibly. Let's see if I have a... let's see if people reacted to that one. So... I love water. Let's see here. Mile High Cat Mom says, Italian scientists say cat owners may have better immunity. All I got on Italy. That's interesting. He also said, he or she, I'm sorry, I don't know. Oh, wait, you're probably a she. Hi Mile Cat Mom. Okay. So she also says, my phone rooted. Nobody's tracing it. Now, Robin says, I just spoke to Congresswoman Susie Lee office about the algorithms. Getting caught up on the rest of your video now. Well, good for you, Robin. And by the way, that's what you do. If you're concerned about any information that you hear on the channel, I mean, first of all, you are free to comment, and I totally encourage that. But if you're concerned enough, call your local congressman and say, hey, is this true? Like, is this actually happening? Like, what are we doing about that? So good for you, Robin, that you're actually contact your congresswoman. Hey, Gustavo, from the Sacramento area. I grew up there. I love Sacramento. Robin says the algorithms are created by people, and yes, they are, but algorithms are kind of scary. They tend to evolve, so... and Robin also says, macro managing of driver's time and distance without allowing for direct costs and expenses to be returned back to the drivers. Oh, and you're giving a thumbs up. Thank you for the thumbs up. And Ryan says, was Tenet one of your most anticipated movies of the year? Yes, because it's Christopher Nolan, and that man has not made a bad movie. And even his lesser movies are like I think his worst movie is Dunkirk. And I still gave that movie 4 stars. So anyway. All right. We have 2 more topics today. And with that said, let's talk about the 5th main topic. And the 5th main topic, we got to talk about Peacock again. Let the Peacock jokes commence. But anyway, so we all know that Peacock is not on Roku or Apple TV. Not Apple TV. It's on Apple TV. It's not on Roku or Fire TV. It's on Apple TV. I have an Apple TV, and therefore I can watch Peacock. And, well, people want... Whenever there's, like, a problem, there's usually a solution, and usually, like, a easy solution. And what a lot of people want to do when they realize that their Roku or their Amazon does not have access to a, certain video, what a lot of people do is they will HDMI the thing. And that means they will take their laptop and they will take an HDMI cable, they will plug it into the TV, they will plug it into their laptop, and they will open the video and they will play it from the computer to the TV through an HDMI. It's very, very, very simple to do. Very simple. Even my mom knows how to do this one. However, people who did that, they wanted to do this for Peacock. Like, okay, we'll watch Peacock on the website and we'll go through the TV. Well, they found out when they connected the HDMI to the TV, it wasn't working. And then NBC admitted that Peacock does not allow HDMI connectivity. Now then, this is what the article says. Peacock, the new streaming service from Comcast and NBC Universal, officially launched Wednesday with a free tier that includes live channels and thousands of hours of movies and TV programming, as well as a $5 per month premium version with even more content as well as the channel's original series. The service, much like its rival HBO Max, launched without deals to be included on the Roku and Amazon programs. And we discussed this in last week's episode, and if you haven't seen the videos on why HBO Max and Peacock are not on Roku and Fire TV. You can go to my Apptrepreneur Vlogs channel and watch those videos. They're not terribly long. It basically comes down to data. Seem to be talking a lot about data these days on the show. This left users of those platforms looking for workarounds, and one of them, it appears, does not work. Many users, including those who were watching English Premier League soccer telecasts that were exclusive to Peacock on launch day, noticed and pointed out on social media Wednesday. Some TV users who can't get certain services on their Roku or other platforms will run the services on their computer and plug that computer into their TV with an HDMI device. But with Peacock, that workaround doesn't work, and when users try, they get an error message with a picture of a cat, and a message says, "Something went wrong. Sorry, your video configuration is not compatible with Peacock. Try disconnecting an external monitor." In a tweet, Peacock confirmed that HDMI connectivity is disabled. They tweeted, "HDMI connectivity is not supported at this time. Users will not be able to view via external monitor connection. They will need to use their PC, mobile, or one of our other supported devices directly." That tweet was sent after 3 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, hours where a Bitcoin-related hack briefly disabled every notified Twitter account. Peacock also put a list of platforms that do carry Peacock, which includes most Comcast boxes, some from Cox Encounter, Apple TV, Chromecast, Xbox One, and the smart TV platforms of Vizio and LG. Now then, what do I think about this? I'm confused, frankly. I don't know why they did this. Now look, I understand why they're not on Roku and Fire TV. Again, there's data information. Like, they have created their own little algorithm. They want their own little ways of collecting data, and they want to control that data. They don't want to concede that data, or at least not as much of it, to Roku and Amazon, because data is their product. You are the product. They are not making money off the subscription. They are making money off the ads that they will be putting on that app. As a result, they want to collect the data. But that should not be an issue with an HDMI. If you are watching this through an HDMI, you know what? You are still running this program through the browser, off the website. NBC can still see what it is you're watching. They even, and they could even know that you're watching it with the HDMI cable. But here's the thing: they know that, hey, you're watching their product. You can still collect that information. You can still collect that data. You can still collect that for the advertisers. Why is Peacock not letting this go through? Why are they not going to go through? It doesn't make a lot of sense, and this is extremely anti-consumer. Now, some people might say, like, well, they also want to avoid piracy. They don't want, because here's the thing: if people can circumvent the Roku and Fire TV situation and plug their computer directly into the TV, that might weaken Roku and Fire TV's need to have them, because they might say in their negotiations, hey, if people can't get it on our devices, they'll just HDMI it. Like, we don't care. Come back when you're willing to share your data with us. So NBC Universal might be doing this as a way to try to convince people to basically gripe and complain to Roku and Amazon, because, hey, if you can't work around it this way, then you're going to go to those services and say, please, get them on your services. And in fact, there have been tweets that Peacock has sent out telling you to beg these companies to put the service on their boxes. You know what? That's not the consumer's problem. That is NBC Universal problem. They are the ones that need to make those deals with Roku and Amazon, not the consumer. But aside from that, I don't see what purpose this serves. Because again, you're still collecting the data. You're still seeing the viewing habits. You're not sharing this data with anyone. So why can't you just do it? I don't know. This was a weird one for me. I can't completely. It is extremely anti-consumer. And I don't know. I just don't completely understand this. By the way, I do seem to believe that HBO Max does work if you HDMI it, so apparently Warner Brothers doesn't see a danger in this, but for some reason NBC Universal does. Well, whatever. I don't know. I would like to know what you think about this. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Let's see here. Let's see here. So, first of all, Robin, thank you for the super chat. Now then, let me comment on this, since you sent the super chat. And I've heard this before, and with all due respect, Robin, it's bullshit. Well, not the fact that what you're saying isn't true. It is true, but it wasn't true. So here's the thing. Fauci came out and said masks don't work. Inconsistent guidance for governor control. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Robin. Fauci did say this, and he has stated he definitely regrets saying that. He has admitted that at the time he lied. He lied. They knew the masks worked. But they didn't want people hoarding masks like they were hoarding toilet paper. They wanted those masks for the surgeons, for the doctors, for the people who are going to be on the front lines. And hey, if you're going to be locked in the home, if you have stay-at-home orders, you're not supposed to be out anyway. So they were trying to discourage people from wearing the masks. However, and I've said this now, even if at the time Fauci truly believed, he has admitted he lied about this. Which, by the way, does create a credibility problem. I will admit, it does create a credibility problem now that he's saying that they do work. But here's the thing. Even if he said that back then and believed it, it's clear he doesn't believe it now. Now, doctors are pretty unanimously in agreement that the masks work. We have seen the masks work in other countries. We have seen, statistically speaking, it's been tested, it's been proven. The only place where the masks aren't really working is in the places where half the nation doesn't want to wear them. In the countries where they do wear them, guess what? They are kicking this thing's butt. And they can go see baseball games again. They can go back to movie theaters. So I appreciate your $5, and I am aware that Dr. Fauci at one point said that. But he has said a few things. He said that he regrets saying that. He admits that he lied, and that he always knew that masks were, effective. He just didn't want people stockpiling them, which, again, that creates another problem where it's like, well, now your trustworthiness is in question, because if you're willing to lie about it then, what are you willing to lie about now? I acknowledge that, and you know what? That's something he can't change. But the third thing is, if he believed it then, it's clear he doesn't believe that now. And with an ever-evolving situation like this one, things do change. And Robin says, social distancing stops spread, masks are for those who are sick. Just look at all the people who have had transplants at Mayo. Well, the masks are for everyone. In fact, here's an interesting thing. I was reading this. This was actually fascinating. Because some people come on this channel, and other channels, of course, and they say that, they talk about herd mentality, the herd immunity thing. Interestingly, masks help with herd immunity. Because the whole idea about herd immunity is that you get a little bit of what it is that makes you sick, and your body fights it off, and you get an immunity to it in your body. That's the whole idea behind herd immunity. But it's pretty clear that this virus does a lot of damage a lot quick. However, they have been finding that even with people who get it wearing the masks, that they're getting a smaller portion of the virus. So people who wear the masks, who get it, their body is much more likely to fight off the symptoms more effectively because it's a much smaller amount than what it normally is. So whether you don't want to get it or whether you want herd immunity, you should be wearing your mask. You should be wearing your mask. And look, I believe the science on this one. And here's the thing, the science was around even before this pandemic. Why do you think Asian countries wore masks when people were sick? They wore masks because it helped slow the spread. We don't know who has this, though. You could be feeling perfectly fine for 2 weeks. So, hey, if everybody wears the masks, they estimate that we could be back to normal in 8 weeks. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great if we could be back to normal in 8 weeks? And then when we get the vaccination, then we don't have to worry about it. And by the way, the stores don't want the masks. It makes crime much easier to get away with. So, Anyway, well, James, I'm not going to promote that because I don't know if that's true or not. So, anyway, thank you for the super chat, though. Thank you for disagreeing politely. I hope I'm also disagreeing with you politely. And Robin, I'm just also going to say, because I like you, I wish you would wear a mask. Because I don't want anything to happen to you either. So, that's just my big overall concern. But, with that said, we have one more topic. To discuss. And, it's interesting that we're just talking about the human rights issue with the Uber tracing with the algorithm, because the U.S. has officially accused a supplier for Amazon, Apple, Dell, GM, Microsoft of human rights abuse. So this is interesting, and obviously it has something to do with China. The U.S. Department of Commerce added 11 Chinese companies to its list of firms implicated in human rights violations, including China's reported campaign against Muslim minority groups from an area of the country known as Xinjiang. Xinjiang, I think that's how you pronounce it. An autonomous region. At least one of these companies, Nanchang O Film Tech, is listed as a supplier or undefined partner with nearly 24 tech and car companies, including Amazon, Apple, Dell, GM, and Microsoft. The Commerce Department said the group of 11 companies that supported mass arbitrary detention, forced labor, involuntary collection of biometric data, and genetic analysis targeted at Uyghurs. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that. I'm sorry. And other minority groups will face restrictions on U.S. product, including technology. Quote, Beijing actively promotes the reprehensible practices of forced labor and abusive DNA collection and analyst schemes to repress its citizens, Secretary of Commerce Wilbur Ross said in a statement Monday. This action will ensure that our goods and technologies are not used in the Chinese Communist Party's despicable offensive against defenseless Muslim minority populations. O-Film couldn't immediately be reached for comment. Amazon, Apple, Dell, GM, and Microsoft either didn't respond to requests for comments or had no immediate comment when reached. The government's move against O-Film, which says it makes cameras, touchscreens, and fingerprint sensors, marks an escalation of the Trump administration's use of tech companies as part of its pressure campaign against the Chinese government. Now, we've been talking about this, how TikTok and all these other Chinese-owned things, how TikTok was copying information and sending it somewhere and we didn't know where it was going. Well, yeah, then you start going to their other firms like O-Film. They make cameras, touchscreens, and fingerprint sensors. And when you use that, it collects information on you. And then they can send this information to the Chinese Communist Party. And so this is dangerous. So I'm actually thinking we're getting towards a point in the future where you're going to have Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, Uber, maybe even, Facebook. You're going to have to start not using Chinese technology in your products, because China makes it so that they can copy this information and they can do stuff with it, and we don't know what they're doing with it. That's the thing. We just don't know what they're doing with it. So this is obviously a much bigger problem than what I can provide, but it's kind of the start. Eventually these companies will have to really examine what they're doing with some of these Chinese companies, and they're going to have to make some changes. And who knows, maybe it includes cutting China out of the equation. That does mean, by the way, your phones are going to get more expensive. It absolutely means your phones are going to get more expensive. But, they'll be American made now. Jobs will be provided. Who knows? Maybe this might be a good thing in the long run. I don't know. One of the problems is cheap comes at a cost. And usually that cost is much greater than really what you'd be willing to give up if you think about it. But anyway, I would like to know what you think about the story. Do you think that O-Film should be banned in the U.S.? Do you think our American companies should not do business with China anymore? Or do you think this is being blown way out of proportion, that this is a witch hunt from the Trump administration? I would love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Alright, so let's look at some of these comments. I'm going to go back to the top and see the comments that I skipped. And let's see here. Ryan says, are you and Katie still not going to Disney World? No, Ryan, I've said this 3 times. we're not going to Disney World anytime soon. It's because of the virus and everything. So look, we're not going to Disney World anytime soon. I've said it 3 times. So can we just make that clear? Thank you. Let's see here. What else is did I miss anything else? I don't think I... Okay, Ryan also said, do you plan on doing a video on the new Amoeba whenever they reopen? Maybe. I haven't decided yet. Let's see here. What else? Muhammad Khalil, hey, how you doing? Says, greetings, Kevin. The countries that have low COVID numbers have women leaders. That's not strictly speaking true. It really isn't. I'm sorry, it's just not. Let's see here. But it's a fun joke, but it's not true. Some of them do, but not all of them. And G account says, turn off location in your phone if you're not using Uber, Lyft, or Google Maps. I actually turn off my location quite frequently. That is something. So Andrew says, interesting. What if you have a VGA cable instead of HDMI? Most TVs have a VGA port in the old monitor cable. There are some cables that do work. I don't know if VGA is one of them, but they definitely made it a point so that you could not watch Peacock using an HDMI. So, let's see here. Robin says, what's Tenet? Tenet is, here, I'll look it up. I'll look it up, real, quick so that you can see. Tenet is an upcoming spy film written and directed by Christopher Nolan. It stars John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, Elizabeth Debicki, Dimple Kapadia, Michael Caine, and Kenneth Branagh. I didn't know Kenneth Branagh was in this, actually. It's a co-production between the United Kingdom and the United States. Now, this is why I really want to see it. Christopher Nolan. This is the man who directed it. And you go to his filmography, and it's like, Following, good movie. Memento, great movie. Insomnia, good movie. Batman Begins, good movie. The Prestige, good movie. The Dark Knight, great movie. Inception, great movie. Dark Knight Rises, great movie. Interstellar, great movie. Dunkirk, very good movie. Like, this is why I want to see it. Because this guy is just amazing. So, that's what Tenet is. That's what Tenet is. So, let's see here. Hey, Slickneck, how you doing? Let's see here. Robin says, that's the right question. What are you going to do with all that data? Sell it, of course. I agree. Ed says, that were Nike making their shoes that pay you thousands for? They are watching you. It sucks. Are you going to Disneyland? I'm not going to... Well, Disneyland's not open, but I'm not going to Disneyland anytime soon. And yeah, Nike has their own human rights problems. Hey, Jordan, I haven't seen you in a while. Well, nice to see you. Hey, Kevin, hope you and Katie are doing well. Yes, we're doing well. We're staying healthy and everything. And Mohammed says, pretty soon the president will be made in China. Probably true. So anyway, hey, if anyone didn't give a thumbs up, I would really appreciate if you did. So anyway, that is where this episode is going to come to an end. We have reached the end of our comments and the end of our topics. Thank you for joining me. We will, of course, anything you missed, we will be breaking up into replay videos for this channel, the Failed Journalist, and the Apptrepreneur Vlogs. Make sure you subscribe to all those channels and ring those bells. And we will see you tomorrow with a new episode of the Apptrepreneur Show. Take care, everyone.